Come down with it. You're now tuned in to Ministry of Riddim.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all around the world. Yours truly, Dorky here, back exclusively on 284 Media, Ministry of Riddim, the brand new season. And we're going to be right back.
Some claim that the age of a true gentleman is far behind us, but we disagree. He may appear in different guises today, but the values and ideals that make him a gent still stand. The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman by yours truly, Ron Grant, presents Season 6. Introducing Sheldon Frett, actor, film producer, writer. Daylon Vantapool, entrepreneur. Terrence Neal, creative director. Chad George, entrepreneur. Humphrey Liu, financial services professional. Jamali DJ Molly Thomas, sales manager. Kai DeCastro, entrepreneur. Dean the Sportsman Greenaway, journalist. St. Clair Steady Fleming, entrepreneur. Devon Cowell, brand specialist. Robert Green, footballer. And Rick S.S. Grant, author, The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, coming June 5th, exclusively on 284 Media, inspiring a generation of greatness.
Orange alert. Fire is spreading across the BVI. The fastest, most reliable, and affordable fiber internet service is here for you. Look out for fire in these new locations: Slaney, Duff Bottom, Manual Reef, Seacows Bay, Albion, Hannah's, Palestina, Pleasant Valley, and Havers. Fiber is in your area. Call 444-4444 or visit a CCT store to find out more and bring it home. More locations coming soon.
Well, am I covered?
Yeah, you're with CG. Remember when I was dabbling in knife throwing bingo? Well, one night I won, but I also got a bullseye.
No.
In a beehive. I ran for hours. They caught me in the end, though. Anyway, I was covered, and I got to keep my trophy. Uh-oh.
Best medical cover for the price. CG Insurance. Good like that.
You're now tuned in to Ministry of Riddim.
Ministry of Riddim exclusively here on 284 Media. Yours truly, Dirky here. I am so super excited because today I have one of my brethren that I look up to, that I respect so much. One of the hardest working musicians and producers in the entire Virgin Islands and Caribbean. It is my pleasure to introduce to the world Dupree.
Yes,
welcome, my brother.
Yes,
Respect and love alone, man. Great to have
Bless
you here on Ministry of Riddim. We've been talking for a while, but we wanted to make sure that we get things right, and so we could, introduce you to the world for those that don't know you. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Dupree.
Most people know me as Marlon around here. I push Dupree Beats. That's my stage name. I'm a producer, musician. You could say pretty much it. I manage 2 bands. And music always been a part of me. That's my whole life. As I say, I manage 2 bands, Evolution Band, Evo HD. I've been producing for a while now. Recently, let's say about 5 years ago, I started producing more on an international scale with bigger artists and stuff. Some, a few artists out of Grenada and stuff. Been producing a few artists here and there on Tortola as well. And as of now, I still have some big stuff coming, big music, big tracks coming in the making. Some of them I can't really talk about it right now.
We won't let the cat out of the bag with everything.
Yeah.
And you just released a really big tune just a few days ago, and we will get into that just now.
Yes.
Now, Marlon, Dupree Beats. Talk to us about Dupree Beats, because we're gonna start from now, and then we're gonna go back. We're gonna pedal back a little bit, right? Let's talk about you as a producer right now, because I have always known you to be a musician, one of the hardest working musicians I personally know. And I have to give you your props for that, because you're disciplined. I see that you always show up on time. You're the first to arrive and the last to leave. Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
So talk to us about, how did Dupree Beats come about? Like, from what made you make that transition? And I know more than likely is like a natural flow of things, is really organic, of course. Well, like, what really drove you to the point where you wanted to be an actual producer and evolve and excel for just being a musician playing instruments to be a producer? What made Dupree Beats come about?
Yeah, well, as I said, I always loved music. Music has been a passion for me. So in the early 2000, started out in 2000, I started messing around with what was, it's Fruity Loops back then.
Okay.
We call it FL Studio now. It was Fruity Loops. Started, just messing around with it a bit here and there, being inspired, because back then it was magazines and stuff. You watch the Excel magazines, you seen different producers, you seen artists, and you want to.
Fruity Loops.
Yeah, and I start thinking to myself, man, I already love music, I think I could do this, And I started just messing around with Fruity Loops here and there. Somehow, it just wasn't cutting it at the time. I think that the DAW itself wasn't limited. Most of the time you're using a trial error, a crack version, trial version, that kind of way.
Of course.
So, after a while, I just stopped doing it for a while. In 2004, when I actually started back doing the band stuff, being with a band, and I was incorporated in a band at the time, and it's like back then it was kind of hard to get music from people. Nobody want to share their material with you most of the time, because they think you ain't worthy of, and it was kind of, back then everybody was more protective over their material, so I decided I'll start trying to do my own thing again.
Exactly.
That's,
necessity is the mother of all invention.
Yeah, and that's what pushed me to get back into the producing again. And at first, it was shaky, a lot of tracks I did. Sometimes I listen to some of the music I produced back then and be like, boy.
I was just going to ask you, like, how was that experience, like, the building process? Like,
yeah.
We've all started out in an era where our first set of things that we did, we were like, yo, this straight trash, man.
Yeah.
So, like, how was that experience, and then the process of building and actually getting to where even just sonically the songs, because like you say, it's very hard when you start out. Sometimes you only have access to certain things. Certain things make song really thin. You can't get that thick, fat song that you want. Like, what was that process, Well,
it was frustrating at times. Okay, it was really frustrating at times, because most of the time, sometimes it's just the access to certain resources.
Yeah, especially financially.
Because
in this small area,
Exactly, because no, you will buy a software, you buy a DAW, but then you need plugins, you got to spend money, sometimes you're working with a budget. So it was for me. But I think it was a good thing, the struggles and the trials, it was good, because that's what built me. Precisely. Because I didn't give up from then to now. I just kept going. Sometimes, you slow up a bit here and there. But the experience with the transition from just doing mediocre tracks, sometimes to actually making music now and producing international artists now.
Yeah.
It was a learning experience for me, and I welcome it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
That's what I'm talking about. Let me ask you.
Yeah.
When was that point in time where you actually okay, not even produce an artist or a band? Like, when was that point where you actually realized, hey, I think I got something now? Like when you made your first beat or rhythm or produce your first track and you said, yeah, I think I got something. I think this is something I can actually, send to someone or let someone else hear and be like, this is decent, I could work with this. Like, when was that point for you when you realized all the hard work is starting to pay off and stuff like that?
Yeah, I would say that was somewhere around 2010 or so. I started like basically I was trying to do a party mix for my band, and a couple of the tracks, the vocalist for the band at the time, he messaged me and he was like, dude, you're hearing because he was really critical with me. He was like, I hearing he was like, and that year we actually dropped the first, like, basic, I would say, how I would put it, the first production for me that really, especially around here, like, hit and had people talking. It was an ecstatic feeling for me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I've been doing music, but with that first hit, it was a hit for me, right? That was my hit, and it would always be my hit because that was actually the first time when the music, it was how I put it, it's like I had to learn.
Come together.
So I finally get it to the point whereby it like, it making sense now. It's starting to sound good. People talking, and the radio were playing it.
I was just about to ask you that because
the radio were playing it.
I think the era has changed now.
Yeah.
Some persons have the approach and it's really good. I'm super excited we're in an era now where especially young musicians, producers, and artists can actually have a direct-to-consumer link. For instance, whether it's SoundCloud, Apple Music, all the different streaming platforms. We didn't have that
back then.
And even back then, we didn't have that at that time either, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, how did it feel when you actually produced something and you heard it play on the radio for the first time? For me, I could remember I was a really young boy, like still in high school and stuff, and like just hearing another band that was the biggest band at the time play one of my beats. Like, I didn't care about money, I didn't care about payment, I didn't care about credit, anything. Just hear them playing it and hearing something I produced on the radio. It's like a euphoric feeling. How was that for you, man?
Man, it was crazy. It was crazy. I can remember that day like it was yesterday. The first time I heard my song on the radio, man, I turn it up and I blast it. I even call my kid's mom at the time, and I was like, yo, listen, yo. On the radio, and they were blowing it up because it was a good track.
Yeah.
And it was that feeling is like after that, man, it gave me the motivation to keep pushing. So then I started investing in myself slowly. I start actually buying stuff because now, it's like everybody has to start somewhere. So you start and you have the vibe, but then when people actually bump into your music now, then you're really saying to yourself, you know what? Man, you gotta keep going because you could do it. That kind of way. I mean, you already would know that you could do it, but sometimes you don't need the motivation to push you. And that feeling there basically was, I can't explain it. It was out of this world.
And you just mentioned something, it's very important. Like, people don't really understand this. Like, when your peers, like the persons in your age range, or your brothers or sisters, your brethren and sisters that you walk with, just for them alone to recognize that, hey, your work is starting to pay off, and hey, you sound good, and you get that big up. That alone, without even playing to an audience, is very important. Support is very important. Also, too, like, how was your support level in terms of like your family, your immediate family and stuff like that? Like, did you have that support structure? Did they see like you were working hard and you were putting in the hours and the discipline? Did they believe in you and say, how was was that a struggle for you? Because not all of us get the family support. Some people, like, even it could be your own parents, sometimes they shut you down. Oh, you're wasting your time. And we live in a community where it's unfortunate, and that's why I didn't really have that structure in terms of my peers or older musicians at the time. I won't go too deep into it, but
I know you're
just say y'all are very lucky to have persons like myself that actually genuinely embrace you and shine the light on you and show your love and help you out and stuff like that.
Exactly.
We didn't really have too much of that in my time, I'm being honest. I wouldn't go too deep into it, but Talk about the importance of that. And did you have the family support? Like, did your parents or siblings or even girlfriends or at the time like actively push you?
Yeah, I would say I had the support. I had the support, and many people wouldn't know this, but a lot of the biggest productions that ever happened, right? Sometimes the girlfriend or your wife or whatever it is usually is the first person to hear it, especially for somebody like me who was, had my own makeshift studio in the house. She has to tolerate all the noise, all hours, and
we definitely had to big up the girlfriends and they have to tolerate not only the noise but strangers being in your house.
All of that type of stuff. You know how it is. Course, recording tracks in a closet, that kind of stuff. And I would say I had a good support. She had a decent ear. My girlfriend at the time, she was the one who used to basically tell me, well, nah, that don't sound good. But she was kind of straight up with it. And I had to respect that at the same time.
I always appreciate people that critique your stuff honestly.
So in terms of the support, basically she was it for me though. I would like pass stuff on to her, do this and say, listen how this song. And then I would send it out to a few people, and I had a good support team, and I always used to tell people, man, just be straight with me. Because you know how it is, you do a track, you spend all night on a track, right? And to you, it hit him because you start from scratch, you building a vibe, and and your support team or your friends, whoever it is, they tell you, man, it's song good just because.
Just because, they're cool with you.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be like that.
You buy them drinks when they see them at the bar.
You check what I'm saying. They don't want to hurt your feelings, but I prefer you hurt my feelings though, because as a producer, a musician, sometimes what songs go to you don't song go to somebody else, and you know the feeling of getting into a track, and you feeling it. Even sometimes I know it happened to you many times. You wake up the next day. And then when you play it back, you're like, wow, this is what I was bumping into last night.
But it depends on your mood. It depends on what's in your spirit, in your soul at the time. And like music is a strange thing as well, because it's not everything that feels good to you or songs good to you mean it will transcend onto somebody else. Like they may not be feeling that vibe. Timing is very important too.
Yeah.
I have had the issue where I put out stuff that was amazing, but it wasn't amazing at that time because maybe it was a little bit too ahead. Maybe you're thinking too outside the box. Because some people are very funny, They're very fickle. They love what they love. They don't want to hear anything different. You might change that, say, even down to a drum pattern. Their customer hearing a certain thing. You try something, experimenting, and what you did is amazing, but they don't see it at the time. It might be a short while or even a long while after. I've had tracks that I put out that I was sitting on for 6-7 years. And I'm like, somebody will go back and hear it. Hey, you should put that out. I'm like, I did. Like, you should put it out now.
No,
you experience that as well, right?
Yeah, man. Many times, even the track that I just dropped, I did that track.
That's probably a few years old.
Yeah, I did it quite a while back.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting on it for a while.
Yeah. Talk to us about that track. Talk and plug yourself. Tell us about that track. Who's featured on that track? I love the track. I listened to it.
Yeah.
I got to hear it before it was released.
Right.
Obviously, but talk to us about it, who's featured on it, and then I want you to plug yourself, brother. Let people around the world know how they can reach Dupree Beats.
Okay, good. That track basically, it was an idea I had. I usually wake up like 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes and just put little melodies down. Sometimes I wake up with a feeling, a vibe, and I actually did that track, the entire track, like in like 3 hours, like the basic bare bone track that you would give somebody, and then you afterwards you add stuff to it. But I sent it out. I sent it to a few guys, and I didn't really get any response at the time. But I always like that track, and I kind of just put it on for a while. And then last year, the lead singer for Evo HD, my band, You know, we were just running through some files and he hit that one. And, you know, he has a lot of energy. He started jumping. He like, yeah. So I was like, okay, let me do it. So I went back to it, you know, changed a few things and then we did the track. We did that track called Brace. That's Evo HD. Basically around that same time too, I was talking to Pascal here and there, me and Pascal were vibing. You know, I sent him a few tracks as well. And he immediately gravitated to that one. He like, yeah, Dupree, that one. But you know, Pascal, he a little specific. Yeah, he was like, you know, he wanted to change this, he wanted to do that, blah, blah, blah. And then originally, I think he wanted to do a collab, he and Panther Vibes.
Okay.
Yeah, Panther Vibes eventually did a single on it. Panther Vibes did his own track.
I didn't
on
even
that.
know that one. That part.
Yeah, Panther Vibes dropped that song, Bang, on the same rhythm.
No, that you say that you're right.
Yeah.
And it's weird I didn't recognize that, but thanks for pointing
Yeah. He had I can't give the guy the credits at the moment, but he also had a guitarist.
Okay.
I don't remember his name at the moment. Okay. Sorry about that. He the guitarist actually add, you know, a bit of a flavor to it.
Okay.
Change it up a little bit, you know, with my permission. I don't have a problem with that because, you know, music is a universal thing. You know, because I did the track don't mean, you know, boy, nah, nobody can. Nah, because he reached out to me. He was like, you know, I want to add something. I said, no problem. Sure. So he did that. Panther Vibes did Bang. And Pascal, you know, we went in the studio by Jugo. We sat down for a while. We were vibing with the track, you know, and, you know, we made a few changes to suit his vibe. And then he messaged me, like, boy, Jugo say he liked that track. You know, Jugo wanted to.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, no, to be honest, right, when he told me that, right, I just started to smile because all I was saying to myself is like, you know, Jogo, Pascal, all of these guys, you know, all of us, cool, really cool and stuff. But, you know, that's something that never happened before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how energy works, my brother.
Yeah, it never happened before.
You were in the right place at the right time, at the right moment with the right people.
Yeah, and the man just did that track, you know, they did Live My Life. So on that track you have Evo AG with Brace, Panther Vibes with Bang, and Jugo and Pascal Live My Life.
That's a solid combination there. That's two of the very best right
there. Yeah, man, and it basically, you could say, stuff that I wanted to happen, happening. You know, that kind of way?
In place in time.
Yeah.
What was that feeling for you? Like, okay, you say you did the track before and now you just revisited it and you said your lead singer, of course, happened to play it, and then you see how the whole thing transpired?
Yeah.
It's like, what's supposed to happen will always happen in time.
Yeah.
So patience is definitely a virtue, and that discipline, and is very great that you have an open mind and allow persons that, like you say, not because you might have a bare bones track, but then maybe a specific structure. And I work with both guys for many years, so I know both of them are there particular in certain ways. So which is good. I love an artist or a singer that's very particular and know what they want, than you having to tell them every single thing. Cause that gets frustrating.
That's the way it should be.
So that's really great. So what's the name of the track again, and where can persons find the track?
Well, all the tracks basically, you have Evo AG Brace, Panther Vibes, Bang, and Pascal and Jugo, Live My Life.
Okay.
All of those tracks are on SoundCloud, YouTube.
Okay.
Available on our streaming platforms.
Does the rhythm have an actual name?
Yeah, about that. So basically, as it happened in a way, we did all singles. So what basically my idea now is to put everything together. Okay. I'm gonna do it. Yeah, I'm gonna do that, but that wasn't done as yet. At the moment,
we can expect that soon.
Yeah, already. I mean, I already basically started the process of
nice. That's amazing.
Designing cover art, everything. You know, because it didn't really happen how I expect it. You know, it just happened that
sometimes
it just happened that way,
and you just got to be able to.
Yeah, it just basically happened that way. Basically the name of the rhythm though, Hypnotic.
Okay.
Because it's like, man, I just name them rhythm according to how I feel. Yeah. And I feel like that one no hypnotic. It's like, as I say, I wake up like after 3 in the morning with an idea. Usually I'll put the idea down, save it, and revisit it. I do the whole track.
Let me ask you a question there. As you say, right, And I myself, I find that those kind of hours are the most amazing hours to work. Like, that's when you're most creative. And like, I don't know if this has ever happened to you. Ever been asleep and you with your woman or whatnot there, and you jump up out of your bed. Like, I will wake up and I may not have access, or I may not have something set up, but I like turn on the voice recorder app on my phone, and just I'll go in the bathroom and I'll be in there, and she'll be like, "You alright or what?" Like, you know, some people would think we're crazy, but you don't understand, as creatives, we don't ever shut off. Even while you're sleeping, you're dreaming, you're thinking of like melodies and structures. I know you could relate.
Yeah, man. Well, my girlfriend now, she used to that. Maybe at first, but she used to me all hours of the night. She used to me watching TV.
Yeah.
Right. I remember I did a Riddim. I was watching this show called Blind Spot.
Yeah.
And there was an intro song. No, I hearing it's just some sense, you know. I hearing a rhythm inside of that.
Of course.
Man, I paused, gone straight. I like, you know, I just got idea and I just start putting it down the door. You know, so she used to me just waking up all hours of the night and she used to that kind of vibe with me. But how I have it set up though is I could wake up any hour and just turn on and just go. Because basically my whole studio setup is home in my house.
That's very important that you say. Actually having, as a creative, having some kind of setup that's always there, that you can
always
run
available.
To. The issue is you have to sometimes have separate stuff than what you use on the road, because when we go to break and we come back, we're going to talk about that lifestyle.
Yeah.
The lifestyle is not for the faint of heart. Being a creative, being a producer, being a recording engineer and all of this stuff that works is a lab rat basically, and still having to gig, because you have to live that physical part of your life as well.
Yeah.
We'll get to that coming up, right? Yeah. But before we take a break, plug yourself. How can persons, I should say, contact Dupree Beats?
Well, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, all Dupree Beats. Basically, so
spell it for them so they can find.
That's DUPREEBEAT with a Z.
Okay.
So SoundCloud, Instagram, Facebook, even YouTube.
Okay.
Look up Dupree Beats. Yeah, and I'll appreciate it. When you get to the YouTube, don't forget to subscribe.
That's very important. Help the algorithm, okay?
Oh, yeah,
also,
don't forget to subscribe.
Email address?
My address is Dupree Beats, DUPREEBEATZ@gmail.com.
All right, nice. So, we're going to take a very short break, pay some bills, and come right back exclusively here on 284 Media, Ministry of Riddim, featuring one of the best, hardest working Dupree Beats. We'll be right back.
Orange alert! Fire is spreading across the BVI. The fastest, most reliable, and affordable fiber internet service is here for you. Look out for fire in these new locations: Slaney, Duff Bottom, Manual Reef, Seacows Bay, Albion, Hannah's, Palestina, Pleasant Valley, and Havers. Fiber is in your area. Call 444-4444 or visit a CCT store to find out more and bring it home. More locations coming soon.
At Partners for Kids, your child's health and happiness are at the heart of everything we do. We've been the trusted medical home for children and adolescents up to 18 years old. And now, we are excited to welcome a new member to our family of healthcare professionals. Introducing Dr. Aisha Maxwell, our new family practitioner. Dr. Maxwell brings a wealth of experience and deep passion for pediatric and adult care, ready to join our team in providing first-rate health services to your family. At Partners for Kids, we believe in a collaborative approach to healthcare. With partners in occupational therapy and clinical psychology, Partners for Kids, where caring is just the beginning. Visit us at Road Reef Plaza, Tortola, open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call us at 284-444-5437 or reach out at info@partnersforkids.com to learn more.
That's just not cricket.
No sweat, you with CG. Remember my street dance battle against Seamus O'Leapsy? I went on to win the title of Miss Irish-ish, set to perform at nursing homes around the world. Then this happened. Seamus on you, Seamus. Anyway, I was covered. Let's bounce.
Comprehensive motor cover for damage and more. CG Insurance. Good like that.
You're now tuned in to Ministry of Rhythm.
And we are back, Ministry of Rhythm, the brand new season exclusively on 284 Media. Yours truly, your host Dorky, here with Dupree Beats. And now, Dupree, this is Ministry of Rhythm. After also, we're going to get into some actual music, some tracks right now. Squeeze, let the people know what's going on.
Yeah, well, this one right here is the Hypnotic Rhythm. That's the latest track I have out with Pascal and Jugo and Panther Vibes and Evo HD. That's basically the new track just dropped. I also wanted to make sure, because I believe in credits. You know, I believe in credits.
That's super important.
Yeah, because for some of us, you know, especially me, sometimes we don't get paid for the production. You know that type of way.
You just try and big up yourself.
Yeah.
And, you know.
So in terms of trying to build a portfolio, you're trying to get music out there, you're trying to build some kind of portfolio. So when you go to artists, you go to people, they basically, you could say, man, I did this, I did that. You know, I gotta give Trenton his credit because he was the bass player on that track.
Okay.
Trenton, everybody know he has Trenton, DeAndre Trenton.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, awesome bassman, real good guy. And also on the track with Jugo and Pascal, you know, Jugo reached out to me. He felt like he should have added something else to, you know, just his own. You know how it'll be. You do a track, man. You want to add a little flavor. Jugo did a little additional thing on his track as well.
And you know,
and shout out to Jugo.
A lot of people don't even know that, right?
Homegrown,
Jugo himself is an actual producer.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. People don't know that.
He arranges songs. He is an incredible songwriter as well. He's written songs for a lot of persons. But you know, that's for another discussion.
Yeah. I want to. Homegrown. He did he was the engineer. He did the mixing and mastering.
Yeah, man. I've recorded and mixed. So I've been working with Jugo for years. Like,
likewise, me too.
As far back as I think it's about 2007, we recorded. Actually, "We Belong," which is one of the biggest songs internationally that Extreme ever put out with Harrella. We recorded that. You know, when Jugo had a studio in his bedroom. That's how far back that was, you know. Anton was one of the engineers on that as well. Big up yourself, Mr. Jobs. You know, so really good people, man. You see, once you align yourself with good people, good things are going to happen and things going to come for you. What's for you, going to be for you.
Going to be for you. I believe in that.
So talk to us now, Dupree, about being a musician, right? We talked about the recording aspect of it, the production aspect of it, being a lab rat, a studio rat, we should say. How do you balance? Because sometimes balance just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's very hard to balance the studio life, the production life, with the actual performance, the stage, because you are an active touring musician as well.
Yeah.
How do you balance that? How have you figured out how to try your best to balance that?
Well,
I can see it in your face.
well, dog, you know.
I know.
You know, dog, it really hard. It really hard. I mean, it demanding because there's days when I actually come from a gig and have a deadline on a track that I have to do, and I have to actually come from a gig as tired and still go sit down, try to work on it. I think it's all about, for me, it's mostly just about discipline and knowing what I want to achieve. Yeah. Because being as a musician, I don't see myself, I can't see myself stop playing music, stopping playing music no time soon. I mean, as I believe I do it till I old and great. The music part, because I got to perform. That's just my vibe, you know.
It's a necessity.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people don't really understand that. It's to a point where it's like a bodily function.
Yeah, I have to.
Yeah.
I have to. So I could, maybe it'll evolve, you know, you get older, the style might change, you know, but I gotta be involved. Yeah. So with that being said, and me wanting to actually establish, because that's what I'm working towards. I want to become an established producer, not just in the VI, not just in the Caribbean, worldwide. Because I've been doing, I don't just do soca music. I do hip hop. I've worked with dancehall artists.
Reading my mind, Dupree, man. That's why I was going to transition to next. You mentioned the production earlier, and I know these things, but we want everybody around the world to know how multifaceted and talented you are.
Yeah.
You know, and I just want to say that, you know, publicly, I told you privately many times, but I'm just really super proud of you. Because really recognize, really understand, and I see. Nobody can tell me. I've seen the hard work. I respect discipline and hard work more than anything. It's not just about talent. You have to have a certain grit, and you have it because I've seen you go from show to show, from engagement to engagement, from, you know, and you put in a hard work. And I see your frustration on stage, having to deal with other musicians. I can see it. So I just want to say I really rate you highly. Super proud of you, and I want to see nothing but the best and success. I hope to see you make millions of dollars from this, that you could actually sustain yourself and your career for the rest of your life, brother.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
That's
the goal
from me.
Yeah, know? Give thanks, man.
Because my whole thing is like, I tell people in music, anybody comes to me like, you could relate to this every single week. I don't think there's 2 days pass that someone doesn't inbox me or find my number and call me, hey, I want to be in this. I'm like, you sure? How far are you willing to go? I want you to talk to the people, especially the young musicians, and let them know what it really takes with the level of discipline and the hours and the finance and the investment. Because a lot of people think this thing is a fly-by-night thing. They think it's very easy, and they don't understand how far are you willing to go. Talk to us about that, because you have put in the work and you continue to put in the work.
Yeah, well, I could relate, because there's guys always reaching out to me most of the time. Sometimes, you know, because of the personality of somebody, you might know them. You automatically know out of gate, you ain't built for that kind of vibe there. And I feel like you got to be built for it. You got to have you got to love music, but you got to have that discipline. Because Evolution Band, which is basically a band I manage, I started a band from scratch. 13 years ago, right?
Which is super hard to do. And sustain.
And kept it together 13 years. And right now, Evolution Band is on the top of the food chain, entertainment-wise. We do gigs, island gigs. We do a lot of big, high-profile celebrity stuff, weddings, dinner parties, that kind of stuff.
As I said, you guys are multifaceted.
Yeah.
And talk to them about the big stage coming up too. Don't lead out, man. Come on, it's festival time.
Yeah, man. You know, we definitely will be in the festival village on the 8th. We're supposed to be closing out our show. And you know, it's like when we started out, we wasn't seeing the money. All I was doing is just investing in equipment, just preparing ourselves to make it. And we had to do a lot of free gigs. There's times when we had to do 2 and 3 gigs in one day because, when you're trying to make it now, you don't want to turn on nobody. You don't want to say no. So you have a gig this morning, then you have one afternoon, you have a night gig. You take all 3 of them because you're trying to create an impression. There's times when we were slated to perform for an hour and a half at a function, and the crowd, crazy crowd, and we decided, man, we're going to do another hour and a half just so we could prove a point to the people. Right now we don't have to prove a point anymore. We basically, I get emails and calls almost daily, weekly, bookings, that type of stuff. But if I say this to say, if we didn't like have a passion for music and know exactly what we want to do, we wasn't going to get it because everybody that look, most guys, especially the younger guys, right? I had to tell them, all you seeing is just the fame, boy, I in a band. And, we jamming, we in a band, right? But it takes a lot more than just saying you in a band to keep this thing going. Most guys started out, I got guys who came around me and probably in less than a month, 2 months don't fade out because they realize this thing ain't, Donkey, this thing ain't.
You're talking about guys that actually last quite a long time. I have persons come around me that haven't last 2 gigs because of how strenuous and when they realize that, listen, if you're on stage, and you could back me up on this, when you're on stage, the kind of hand-eye coordination, the kind of memory capacity, the muscle memory, the brain capacity, remembering all of these different songs, the transitions, the syncopation, you're managing all these different characters and stuff. It takes a lot. So if you're on stage for even 45 minutes, that's like 8 to 10 hours of a regular person on the job. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're correct. You're correct because I had that conversation with my girlfriend some time back. She was like, why most of the time when you playing, like you performing at an event, when you come out of stage, like you're ready to go home? I tell her, listen, right? Most of the times when I come out stage, it's like, I'm mentally tired.
Yeah.
I'm mentally tired, and then that's something we doing. That's something we doing. Like we'll do one gig, and then in another hour, 2 hours, gotta do another gig.
Yeah.
Because now for me, it ain't just Evolution Band. It's Evolution Band, and then your branch off, little Evo HD.
And not just that, your second gig or your third gig, your 2 other gigs may be completely different. You might have wardrobe changes in there. You have to dress a certain way. You might be playing for a different level or different kind of clientele, a different genre of music altogether.
And it's always a different kind of vibe.
Yeah, so you're going from one to the next. That in itself, just to get your mind right. That's why sometimes people don't understand, like, they'll approach you and you may not be like 100% smiling or into a conversation at the point, and they might think, oh, he think he better than me or whatever the case is, or he think, and it's not that. You just have to get your mind right. You want to concentrate on what you're doing, so
takes a lot of discipline. And then, back to the same point we were talking about earlier, doing all of that, right? And then having to jump back in the studio and work on the music, so there's days when, you could attest to that. Sometimes you perform and your ear ringing for 2 days afterwards.
Yeah, sometimes longer than that.
Yeah, and then...
Especially when you're dealing with musicians that may not be as disciplined as you are,
right?
Or understand that it's a compliment. We're supposed to compliment one another on stage. You might be on a 40-foot stage and another musician all the way on the other end, but you could hear his monitors
screaming.
Man,
those rigs, the guitar rigs and bass rigs and stuff.
Oh my God.
So and then you gotta balance it because, as I say, I hit the international stage about 4 years now. Not as big as I want, but I did a few international artists.
Don't worry about it.
So now, right now, that's my focus. So I gotta keep going. But then at the same time, I doing basically for the season we were doing like 5, sometimes 6 gigs a week.
I want to ask you a straight up question, right?
Yeah.
This is sometimes one of the hardest things to do, but we have to do it. We have to make harsh executive decisions as the head persons in charge,
right,
as a producer,
right,
as a band manager, a band leader, and you will get an exceptional amount of enemies because of this. But I go here to tell you that your back need to be broad, and I know it already is. You will make enemies from this. Some of these enemies gonna be so-called friends and family. They don't understand that sometimes if they're not willing to do what it takes, to willing to put in the hours, willing to put in the time, willing to invest in themselves, how do you deal with the frustration of you investing all of this money and then you got other person and you invest in tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, which I'm probably sure you have at this point, right? And you're dealing with a person and not even willing to invest $50 or willing to put in the time, or would call you and say, hey, I know you tell me we have band rehearsal tonight, but I just meet this new thing and she wanted me to take out for drinks. Like, we do meet these situations and I know you could relate to this. So like, getting to that point where we know we have to leave some of our friends behind, some of our people, some of the people that started with us, not everyone is gonna be there even midway, much less to the end. And your back have to be broad, you have to be willing to make that, distinction between persons who is serious. We need to make sure we have friends that cool to drink with, and we have friends that we know we could go the distance with. Talk to us quickly about that, because I know you struggle with that.
Yeah, along the way I've had to I don't literally burn bridges per se. There's some people actually burn the bridge with me, but I feel like there was a time when I was younger when I used to just be messing around. No, I know what I need to do, but at the same time, you're still learning, you're still trying to find your place, trying to find yourself in the music vibe. So, I did a lot of, let's say I wasted a lot of time sometimes, wasted a lot of music, but it got to a point in my career, in my music career, when I decided, well, this here is what I want to do, and this here is what going to sustain me. I'm going to turn it into a business. So when I got to that point where, okay, this is a business, and I started investing money, because I invest a lot of money. Still investing money, I don't know. You know how it is. Still spending, right? People see you doing gigs and, they think, well, you're making money, but sometimes behind the scenes, you're spending more than what you're making. And I had to phase guys out. And I did it wholeheartedly. I just do what I had to do. There's times when I had to let people know, listen, right? The direction you heading and the direction we heading, two different things. We ain't gonna work out. I ain't had to do that much because I find a formula to kind of let people phase themselves out. You check? I find a way to do that.
I figured that out decades ago.
Yeah. Well, you know the formula.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, I find a way some of those guys to eventually they fade out themselves. But we don't enjoy music as musicians, band performers. We enjoy performing, but at the same time, I'm at the point in my life where I don't just have it as just having fun. It's a business, so we got to be professional. There's a whole set of criteria you got to have. And if you don't have it, I had a guy dress code-wise because for Evolution Band, we would have to do high-profile functions. So there's times when we have to dress up in a suit, tuxedo, and just can't get him to dress proper. Show up to a gig with, not dress properly. He basically.
And then they take it personal too.
Yeah.
Just trying to help them.
Yeah, I had to phase them out because we was on the road to gain where we at right now, and we feel like we there now, and it takes us a lot of years. As I say, 13 years now, Evolution, man. So, but a lot of times, I got a guy right now, he don't talk to me. He walk around talking stuff, saying stuff. But I couldn't keep him around. He was bad for business, bad for me, bad for the band.
Hey, it is what it is. His loss,
and a band has to be a unit. It has to be a functioning unit. So if you have one person who ain't functioning, that's like you have a circle trying to put it in a square.
Well, that's a whole entitlement attitude with a lot of them, We'll always face those persons, but we have to rise above and go forward. So in terms of the actual leadership responsibility, I'm seeing you, right? And the reason why I rate you so highly too. Dupree, I've seen you do everything from play keyboards, play bass, run the rhythm, mix the band.
Yeah.
One time I showed up to an event because a lot of the times you wouldn't even know I was there.
Yeah.
One thing with me, I
Yeah.
come out to everybody's event. I probably am the one person for sure. Whether it's a DJ, it's a band, I don't care who it is. I don't watch no face. I show up, I support. And the first time I saw you take a mic and be like a lead singer, I watching like,
Yeah.
man, Dupree, but I realized it had to be done
Yeah.
at the time.
You know. That,
Yeah,
you know
been there, done that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I recognize that you willing to do what it takes from a leadership perspective and plug whatever holes need to be plugged. And I want to congratulate you and rate you on that because not everyone is willing to step up to the plate.
Yeah.
So you got my ultimate respect.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You already
man.
know, you know. Love
Yeah,
love
man.
for
But
that.
but you know how it'll be. Sometimes you don't have to keep the ball rolling. You gotta do what you gotta do. And as I say, the moment I started thinking about the band five as a business, right? That's when I decided, well, you know, if you're gonna run a business, you have to keep it going.
Yeah.
The
You
ball,
have to be
you have
willing
to,
to do whatever it
yeah, you
takes.
gotta keep it going. You gotta do everything. You got,
Yeah.
you know that kind of
you
way.
even have some of your own members at times, and you know, energy is a funny thing. I think the worst thing that hurts the most is when you have somebody right there with you that you would do anything for, but they're trying to undermine you at the same time from within. That enemy within is always the one you have to look out for. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen you experience it.
Yeah.
Trust me, I see a lot and I may not
Yeah,
say
yeah,
everything, but we
Yeah.
all go through it and we will
Yeah.
always go through it. We just have the ability to overcome, rise above it, and keep pushing because at the end of the day, you're still here, right?
Yeah, man.
Where are some of the rest of them?
Exactly.
You even see them playing the music.
Exactly.
And they put the blame on you trying to say everything is you.
Yeah.
So, as I said, been there, done that.
Yeah, but you're going to see it because you remember, boss, a lot of the things I went through, you probably don't went through that years ago because you'd been in this thing before me, you know?
Forever.
yeah. You've been in it before me.
You gotta love it. And like you mentioned, me personally, I must stop when I drop.
Yeah.
I may not always do, like even right now, I'm way more of in an executive capacity than anything else.
Right.
I still produce, I still write. I actually support even like the musicians I work with. They're musicians and artists and producers in their own right as well. And
Yeah.
I think the thing I'm most proud of is like I had a profound impact and effect on so many people and helped them to push themselves.
You wouldn't even know.
You know?
Wouldn't even know because when I got into the band stuff and started actually doing writing rhythm, like what we don't call it, VI style, writing rhythm, right? I actually had to go back, which is something most guys don't do. I went back and learned the history, right? And guess who naming that history there? Guess who named it there, right? No, you know, funny it was when I actually started, because back then I started out with a bass, you know? Them bass.
The little bass.
Yeah, 80, percussions and stuff. And then I went straight to a 2500.
Yeah.
Right? I went straight to the Akai. So now you get Akai. I remember the day I get an Akai, not knowing by.
I know you probably felt better than a child getting a gift at Christmas.
Man, them things were expensive back then, you know.
Oh man, you know.
And yeah, I get my 2500, and then I looking at it, put it on.
Yeah.
By time to get songs now.
See that big bar right there.
Yeah, man. You check. Time to get songs. I ain't got no songs. I ain't got no samples. And I gotta give Blackett credit.
Yeah.
Big
up yourself, Blackett.
Yeah, we know the history of Blackett. I know the history of Blackett. And Blackett loaded me up. Blackett loaded me up, get the samples and then it's like I seen Doc. Some of the samples them, right? I seen Doc, this and Doc. Some of your samples had your name, had Doc on it. Doc, this, Doc, that.
A lot of them went and renamed hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Just to get my name out.
You know? And then I say, well, Blackett, what you get? He said, boss, a lot of these things. He said, my son, a lot of the samples, sounds and samples we using, and that's like early 2000.
Yeah.
He said a lot of the songs and samples we using is Doc, you know. He said, boss, I said, yeah, I said, man, he said, Doc, he take most of these samples and chop them up. Just like how ready, you know, because I get a file, all he do, he bring a card, load me up. Yeah. You know it is.
One thing,
and
Blackett have a library of songs.
Yeah,
Blackett actually would collect songs from everywhere he would get them, and I respect him for that. He's he's a real historian too, you know, like he could tell you where a lot of that stuff came from.
I'll know, you know, and as I say, my son, you gotta give yourself credit in a donkey because
I just did my
boss,
part,
you,
man.
you and two guys were basically instrumental in me starting out as a Riddim man, as what we call it. You and Daddy Jones.
Yes, I
because
big up myself, Alwyn.
yeah, gotta big up Daddy Jones
Yeah.
because a lot of them samples, even some of them samples you're seeing Vio in thing on it.
Yeah.
You know that kind of way. And we gotta pay homage to that. We gotta give you the credit because sampling, I had to do sampling and sampling ain't easy.
Yeah.
And sampling back then
Sampling
with all of your limited, with the
Sampling
limited.
itself is a full-time job.
Yeah. And you ain't had all the resources we have now. To do that, you gotta give yourself the credit.
Yeah,
Give yourself some
I
credit.
just feel good that, like I say, man, that I could have impacted the culture and like help actually create what we know as a VI song. You know, it's a good feeling, but I never really looked at it like I was actually doing that. I was just trying to be me. I was just trying to put myself out there. But you know, it's great that I could influence so many other persons. You know, it's a really good feeling.
Yeah, man, it was a great influence for me back then. Listening to some of them rhythm, you know, because back then you gotta program it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Ain't nobody can give you their rhythm. For somebody to give you their rhythm, they gotta give you the whole program.
Facts. Yeah, things were very different. Now,
You know?
everybody uses stems.
Stems and
which
stuff.
which is pretty cool too. But back then, like, with me, I actually created my own stems. A lot of the time when I started sequencing and triggering songs and stuff like that, out like because I had situations where we started with 2 keyboard players and I became the only one. So I had to like step my game up and how am I going to make this song as if we have 2 keyboard players, you know? So man, I only have 2 hands.
But I know the struggle.
Sing, I got to do all of these different things.
I know the struggle.
I got set up, you know, I'm the chief band mule and all of this stuff. Like I do everything,
Yeah.
you know? So I'm like, okay, I need to start some sequencing. And when I started, I was like, hey, all right, let me do this here to make it sound so. Actually, there are people that thought I had original files for a lot of songs. I never did. I used to sit down because the trick is, and I've heard you do this as well, because I said, let me hear what Dupree dealing with. And when you could actually sit down and identify what a song is and create it yourself, so close to the original that people think is original, that's when you score.
That's it right. And it was hard back then too with Akai because they're limited memory-wise.
Very limited.
I remember, right, this is me on stage in the village, right? So setting up, you know, the stage manager, like, okay, what you need? I like, okay, I had a bass player. He's like, okay, I need 4 lines. I think it was 4 lines at that time. I was using 4 or 6 lines coming out for the box. I need 2 lines for the keyboard. He like, the keyboard? What you didn't say you're the bass player? No, what happened is, we had a second keyboard player.
Yeah.
He just built. So what I did is I went in and I MIDI a cog LE.
Yeah.
Right? To the Akai.
Yeah.
I MIDI a cog LE to the and I programmed them songs and just got a cog the LE just there running.
It's basically the module.
Yeah, basically just running samples and that's the kind of stuff I'm doing from back then just to make sure the show go and gotta do what you gotta do.
Man, I just love that, man. I love the fact that you could articulate that so clearly so people could understand that a lot of the times, I mean, it's sad that it happens, but it's reality. You might see 6, 7 people on a stage, but it really comes down to one person that does all of that work. A lot of the time, I'll be honest, like, I have put persons' names on albums that never played a note. Just for the look, just to make them feel good. But it was like 2 people, like myself and 1 other person did everything. You know, with the exception of maybe the vocals.
Yeah, that's how it'll be.
That's how it is.
Yeah, I on stage with a stand, keyboard stand, the LE, rhythm box.
I remember.
Bass in my hand. Really weird looking setup, but it'll work. Weird looking setup, but it'll work. It working. I've been many guys ask me how you do. I playing bass and running box for years, but it was necessary because there was other guys in the band. But then you would know that running the box ain't something everybody could do. It's an instinct kind of vibe.
Yeah, especially when you're playing live in the style and genre how we play as VI artists.
Yeah,
like most of the time we don't have standard sets or repertoires that will remain exactly the same because we play on the fly most of the time. So you have to be a musician that can play on the fly and follow. If you're one of those musicians that has to rehearse and practice everything down to the wire to a T, you may not be the best suit for a VI band simply because like somebody in the crowd,
we the guy improvise.
yeah, you have to improvise. Somebody in the crowd, in the audience, might come and say, hey, I want to hear this song. And you want to oblige them. You know, you want to appease them because you make them feel good. That's your support.
That's
so you
what
might come
all
up and you might say, come up with a bass line, you know, the singer sing, and you have to be able to roll like that.
Yeah.
And I realize that you're very good at that.
Yeah, man, but that's what build Evolution Band, because coming up the first 6-7 years, and that's how long it takes us to really build a vibe, you know. We wasn't known as the tightest band, you know, the best, cleanest songing band. We were known as the most versatile band.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what built us, because until when we get to the stage where we play tight and clean now.
That in itself is an awesome label, you know.
Yeah.
If somebody is calling you the most versatile band, that in itself
that's
is a
what it
great
was,
label.
because now you call us.
That ain't a bad label, though.
Yeah, I tell you, but it works.
Yeah.
You call us to do a gig, and we don't know what we're going to play until we get it.
Yeah.
When we get it, we see the crowd. Well, the people look like 70, 80. Man, we can play a bunch of slow music all night. There's a gig, I remember doing a gig at Sugar Mill. And because of the type of crowd, we did a complete 2-hour set of just slow music.
Nice.
Some of the songs we never played before. But the singer you know VW,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
your
man.
boy.
Yeah, of course,
I got
for
to big up VW, you know, because VW was one of the day ones with Evolution Band.
VW.
Gotta big him
I
up.
want to publicly big up VW.
Yeah, got
when
to.
I tell
Got
you
to.
all over the wall, and Dupree could attest to this.
Yeah.
VW is one of the most disciplined persons I've ever had the honor and privilege to work with.
Well,
When VW is for you,
Yeah,
he's for
he
you.
is
He's going to
the
always
most
be on
disciplined.
time.
Yeah.
He is good. Listen, you tell VW to learn a song, VW will learn the ad-libs and all of that.
Everything. And you better
VW, you're large.
you better play the exact way too, though. Cause he ain't give that look.
Big up yourself, VW.
Yeah, you know, and it's like we were known just for being versatile. We just get on the spot. And so going right back to what you were just talking about, especially with the VI vibe, sometimes you need to show what the crowd can gravitate to.
Yeah.
So you have to be versatile, you gotta be able to switch up. And, you know, I run in the box for years just because I couldn't find the right person, you know, to do it. Because I could give you a set to play. But when we get there, people ain't want there you got.
Exactly. It's a vibe, like music.
Yeah.
It has to be like free flowing. It has to feel organic.
Yeah.
And not everyone could watch the crowd. Sometimes we go, Pascal will come to me and say, Daddy, you see what's going on, right? And like 10 steps ahead of you, man.
Boom.
Down the road. You already switch it up.
Yeah, easy.
You know, because of sometimes situations happen, you might have to switch gears. Like the promoter might come and say, hey, can you work with us? We need to adjust you and put you on this part of the lineup because maybe you had another band and the flight was late or something, or they're on the way, they can't make it. You might have to go on earlier. Sometimes you have to go on later. And even just those little intricacies will affect the audience and how you portray yourself to them at the time, right?
Exactly. Because they switch you were supposed to open, and then they switch you to close. No.
There's a whole different energy.
A whole different vibe right there, you know, and that's basically what we thrived on. We thrived on being versatile, and we still versatile. Right now, I have a event at Christmas in July, and you probably might think, you probably might think we from Santo Domingo because the kind of music we gonna play, we gonna mix it up, but we gonna play mostly Latin music.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we
I
gonna play.
can't wait to see it. I'll be there.
Yeah, man. We gonna play mostly Latin music.
I'll be there.
You know, and that's how it is for me, but. It's a lot of work, though.
Yeah, it's a lot
of work. Because programming, especially behind the scenes, you would know, it's a lot of work to put everything together.
And I want to put something out publicly once again, Dupree. I know you'll back me up on this, right? I personally feel that Virgin Islands musicians should be rated some of the top in the entire world. Here's why I say that, right? Say, for instance, you have a band come from Jamaica that's playing with a specific artist or singer, right? Of course, they're going to be some like the very greatest thing on earth because that's all they specialize in. They've been practicing with that specific singer for that specific repertoire. They don't deviate from their repertoire at all, even though they might work with other artists for the tour that they're doing for the next year and a half. They specialize, they get up, they rehearse every day for that repertoire with that exact 10 to 12 songs. You hear now, You have to play all your original music. You have to play all the progressive rock, the pop, the R&B, the reggae, the dancehall, the Latin, the Afrobeat, everything. So that in itself shows how versatile and how great of musicians we are, all of us.
Yeah, man.
So I just want to big up yourself and others, you know, for keeping that whole flow going, man. And is something I love seeing, how progressive you have been. I love seeing that you know, get to the point where you're successful in it. You're making a career, something that could you actually sustain you. You know, and man, it's an awesome feeling, man. I know you're feeling it
because you come up the same way too.
Yeah, you know, I just love seeing him, and I love seeing the success of others, and after that hard work, especially, and all the investment. You know, like when I tell people, you'll be surprised the kind of money musicians have to spend. You probably would have a lot more apartment buildings if we weren't spending all the money in equipment and music and recording and salaries and all this stuff.
That's what I'm telling you. I remember, you know, I laugh at it now. Just before COVID, I invest thousands of dollars, a complete sound system. I even buy a cargo van, all of that type of stuff, because we were getting ready for a big season. Bam, COVID happened.
Yeah. Oh boy, tell me about that.
And so now, you know, even the lockdown, my home, and I out there looking out in the driveway, and I just looking at this big white cargo van pack up, full of equipment. Them time the dog, I spend a lot of money. You check? I buy a whole monitors, everything, and buy a vehicle to put them in. And then I just looking at it like, I just watching that thing in my driveway just pack up. You know what I mean? So it'll be a struggle, but then at the same time, as I say, you gotta have a vision. You gotta be disciplined, and you gotta love that music vibe. Otherwise, you don't last.
For sure, man. And listen, this is Ministry of Riddim. We're gonna take a very short pause right here exclusively on 284 Media. We're gonna be right back, and when we get back, we're gonna get into Dupree squeezing some rhythm before we out there. Okay? We'll be right back.
That's just not cricket.
No sweat, you with CG. Remember my street dance battle against Seamus O'Leapsy? I went on to win the title of Miss Irish-ish, set to perform at nursing homes around the world. Then this happened. Seamus on you, Seamus. Anyway, I was covered. Let's bounce.
Comprehensive motor cover for damage and more. CG Insurance. Good like that.
At Partners for Kids, your child's health and happiness are at the heart of everything we do. We've been the trusted medical home for children and adolescents up to 18 years old. And now, we are excited to welcome a new member to our family of healthcare professionals. Introducing Dr. Aisha Maxwell, our new family practitioner. Dr. Maxwell brings a wealth of experience and deep passion for pediatric and adult care, ready to join our team in providing first-rate health services to your family. At Partners for Kids, we believe in a collaborative approach to healthcare. With partners in occupational therapy and clinical psychology, Partners for Kids, where caring is just the beginning. Visit us at Road Reef Plaza, Tortola, open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call us at 284-444-5437 or reach out at info@partnersforkids.com to learn more.
Well, am I covered?
Yeah, you're with CG. Remember when I was dabbling in knife throwing bingo? Well, one night I won, but I also got a bullseye.
No.
In a beehive. I ran for hours. They caught me in the end, though. Anyway, I was covered, and I got to keep my trophy. Uh-oh.
Best medical cover for the price. CG Insurance. Good like that.
You're now tuned in to Ministry of Riddim.
All right, we are back. Ministry of Riddim, the brand new season with yours truly, Dirky here on 284 Media. And with me today, one of the best, one of the hardest working in the entire world, Dupree Beats, Squeeze. Dupree,
Yes, sir.
you
Yes,
ready
sir.
for the road, man?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
You ready for the big stage?
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
Evo AG in the
Evo HD in the
road,
building. Dupree beats
Yes,
to
sir.
the world.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
listen, my brother, it's been an honor and a pleasure having you here. Thanks for accepting, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
my invitation to come. I've been
Yeah.
looking forward to this, man.
Yeah, man. Me as well. Because I mean, we doing this here now, but you know, ever so often I can call you about something.
course,
We can
of
talk.
course.
Guys,
We always vibe about different things,
always,
you know?
what I mean, and I respect that you always basically always available when I want to discuss something, whether it be just a simple question or a matter I want to deal with, that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
You are always willing to hear what I gotta say, give me that advice.
Definitely,
and
man.
I respect you for
I will
that.
just do my best, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I love the fact that we could reason, you know, intellectually about so many great things and articulate ourselves, because sometimes in this business, it's kind of hard to have conversations with. Yeah, I ain't gonna bother about.
Yeah.
I love that
I know what I mean.
vibe, and you know what I'm saying. I always, as much as possible, will give a listening ear and try to give advice here and there. I don't know everything, of course,
Right.
but I do come with a wealth of experience, and as much as I could help when I can, I always will. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
and
So,
that's how it should be, because I mean, I know how hard it was when I started out. So the younger bands just start out. I actually do my best to help them as well. You know,
actually seen you around like engineering and walking and helping out other bands.
most
so
of the time, you know,
respect
as
for that.
I do sound system rentals as well.
I see that.
So basically, because I know how hard it was. Remember when you back in the days when you start out a band,
Dupree,
nobody
listen to me.
ain't messing with you, you know.
Listen to me. We used to catch ride. You know, we say catch
Yeah.
ride. What other people around the world will call hitchhiking.
Yeah.
You know, you catch a ride.
Yeah.
We used to catch ride with speakers, with
Yeah.
keyboards, with
Imagine
bass.
that.
We would stop like
It
say
was
somebody
rough.
passing the first pickup truck we see. We flag them down. Hey, we try and get up here to do a free gig to play in the parking lot or play on the beach for free. Hey, you know, collectively, like 7 of us, you know, everybody pull out $2, $3. Listen, you know, all we got to our name is $20. We willing, you could walk with us. We putting gas in your truck just in
I
case.
could imagine.
Like, people don't even understand.
I could
that, man.
imagine.
You know what I'm saying?
I ain't had it that bad, but what I know is wrong here in the early 2000s, like with the band vibe, nobody don't mess with you like that. If you don't got your own system, you don't you check. So
It's different now.
Yeah, I try my best. Most of them young band, man, I don't work with them, man. I don't find a way. So basically, now the same. I feel like I paying it forward, you know,
that's
because
great.
I know how the struggles, how it was before.
And that's how it should be.
I in a position where I could provide a sound system to them for a reasonable price so that they could show their talent.
Exactly.
I can do that.
Exactly.
You know, that kind of vibe. So I
And
feel
you're
like
still
that's how
picking
it's
up
supposed to
yourself
be.
at the same time.
Yeah, of course.
And as you mentioned,
Of
the sound
course.
system. Before we get out of here, let persons know, as Dupree is here telling y'all to the wall, not just a producer, not just a musician, managing 2 different bands, helping other bands and whatnot, paying it forward with the youngsters. How can persons reach you if they want to rent a sound system as well?
Right. You want to rent a sound system, you could reach me via WhatsApp or email. You could email me at duprebeats, DUPREBEATZ @gmail.com. Send you a quotation. You could WhatsApp me 12843408855. Whatever the size, whatever the requirements, you just WhatsApp me, you let me know. Provide it for you.
Definitely, man. Do you also provide services like even if it's just for a demo, like maybe not like a full recording, but like if someone wants to basically just say put a demo just to hear themselves, like you could offer that for someone?
Nah. At the moment, I don't really do recordings, mainly because my studio is home in my house.
Yeah, got you.
So you know,
You don't
I
wanna
would.
get put out.
Yeah, you know how it is. You know how it is, and as it speaks, you know how it is. It's only a selected few people actually come to my studio.
As it should be.
Yeah, you know.
Be careful what energy you lay in your home.
Yeah, but in the past, basically, you know, as I say, I build a network, a vibe. You know, I link with everybody. So there's Sweeney 420 Studios. That's my bar. I sit down there. We could do work.
Definitely, big up to 420.
Yeah,
Big
we
up
do
to-
work there
to
anytime.
Sweeney, big up to Jugu.
And then Jugu. For years now.
Yeah.
For years now, I walking along with Jugu.
Yeah.
Most of I did dancehall artists, I did rap artists and stuff. Most of the recordings I would do, homegrown studios, and now basically I link with Sweeney too.
Yeah.
So basically,
Sweeney
that's
good
how it
people
is.
Too, man, you know?
Yeah, man, them man,
So
they.
big up to all the persons that have recording studios, but I just asked a question because I know sometimes we could get caught up and people try to draw you in
Yeah.
as well. Be like, well, since you're producing for me, I know you have a mic at least that you could do a demo.
And
There's a
that's the
reason I'm
question.
asking you.
Doki, I get a question every time.
So you see where I'm going with it?
Every time I get a question, because you know I can do my tracks, I can mix them down. And when I send an artist a track, sometimes they want, oh, man, we could. I like, nah, dude, I don't do vocal recordings.
Yeah.
Specifically, maybe in the future. But the thing is, Doki, time.
Yeah, time. You
That's
only one person.
another ball game right there.
Yeah.
Starting to do vocal recordings, another ball game.
And sometimes you could really get caught up the studio thing, right? Like I went through a phase one time where I had to realize, like, hey, I boxed myself out of some substantial revenue by being stuck so much in the studio that I was missing out on gigs. And not just that, from a health standpoint, like, man, if you back down in a studio and you in AC all the time, you ain't really going out as much, getting enough sun, you're missing out on a really cool and incredible part of your existence as a musician. Not touring, not doing gigs. Like one point I was doing work for so many people and I was like, wait, no, man. Even though I was making money doing the studio work and some good, getting some good revenue, is like you have to make sure that you're active as well. As a musician. That's a very important aspect.
You can't do all. Maybe I may see myself doing that because I say for me is everything music. I got music tattoo on my skin. I feel like music in my blood. So maybe when I get older, as I said, for me, the performing, whatever it is, the music vibe going to switch up. When we get older, I can find another way to keep it going. Maybe then, when I slow down.
You have to, because it's a natural order of things. At the end of the day, Dupree is impossible. I don't care how much money. The treasury can't print enough money to get Dorky to do what he used to do when he was 13, 14, 15, 16, even up to 21, even up to 25, up to, I will never, you can't pay me enough money to go as hard as I used to at that point. I love my life.
Your body ain't going to be able to do it neither.
Your body, exactly. And when you get a family, you get children and these things, it changes. So I still walk as hard, but I really don't do as many gigs as I used to before, but that's by design, that's my choice. So you do have to.
And back then it was harder,
It was a lot harder.
Man, remember, back then we used to do gigs with them double 15 PV with a 44 XT. 44
I remember them well.
The tweeter in double 18 and then a big heavy amp rack. My amp rack, the amp rack for our band was made out of metal. And then you got some crunk amp and all kind of thing. Heavy stuff you gotta be lifting. Heavy stuff you gotta be lifting. So gigs back then was harder, but we used to do a lot more of it. I used to work hard. I mean, now I try to work smart though.
That's the key.
I try to work smart,
and also I want to see like more musicians start to take it to a point where they can make a career out of it, because contrary to what a lot of people think and say, this is an active industry and you can sustain yourself with it. You just have to know how to approach it and don't depend on one aspect of it. You have to be multifaceted. You have to do networking. You have to get into the overseas markets, because you can't depend on one thing. I mean, old people used to say you can't put your eggs in one basket. You'll be a fool to do so. But you can be very sustainable.
That's my advice as well. You could actually sustain. I mean, I know colleagues of mine who built their homes from playing music. So you could do it, but ain't just the all glitter and glamour like everybody think. Ain't just that you have to be disciplined enough to do it.
Definitely.
But to any young musician out there, musician out there who wants to do the music, first, like, make sure you have a love for it. Make sure you actually love music, and put in the work, the dedication, and it will pay off. I tell that to anybody.
That's what I'm talking about.
So,
ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this has been Ministry of Riddim here on 284 Media, featuring the phenomenal, amazing Dupree Beats. Love alone, my brother, and I wish you the wall of success and wealth going forward. Just keep pushing. You always have my support, genuinely. Continue to do great things with your music, your production, your various bands, your different acts. I could see you in this decade from now You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah,
'Cause
man,
you have the
definitely.
drive,
I could see me
You
in
have
it.
the grit. You have your back, broad.
Yeah.
Because you've been through a lot.
Yeah,
so I
man.
respect that. So it's been an honor having you here. My privilege. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, man.
Definitely,
Thank you for
and
having
we
me.
are out. Ministry of Riddim exclusively on 284 Media. We gone.